This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Here we go!
You're listening to the Emerald Flow Show on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network.
Welcome to episode 23 of the Emerald Flow Show. We're a podcast on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. You can follow us on Twitter at Emerald Flow Show, and you can go to voicesofwrestling.com/donate to donate to the show, and any donations are greatly appreciated. And if you use Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star review. I'm Gerard DeTrollo here with Paul Vosch. Paul, how are you doing today?
Doing pretty good. Just during the night, we think we had like the first kind of proper fall storm of the year. I mean, now that it is also actually kind of fall temperatures at the end of November, middle of November rather.
Yeah.
So yeah, now it is actually properly fall for like, I guess, half a month until we launch into winter.
We got the first little bit of snow here, but it was just a tiny amount. It just stayed on like top of cars and stuff like that. So, but it was really warm here till recently and everything like that.
Yeah, I saw some things about like something called like thunderstorm that is going to hit like the general area, I think.
Yeah, I saw something about that, like a big snowstorm. I'm not sure if it's getting quite to me, but it's close. Like I'm not far from Buffalo, so we'll see. But I don't see anything on any of my weather reports, so fingers crossed. I don't like to deal with this shit until January, so that sort of thing. So I guess this week we'll start off with the big news that everyone's talking about, Jun Akiyama in AEW. Mm-hmm. Paul, any thoughts? What was your reaction to this?
I was really happy, mainly because that meant, I mean, obviously, and that's what they did as well, is him versus Eddie Kingston. I know it's kind of a tried trope, basically. I generally hate like the whole like you deserve a chant and everything, but like I think this would be like the one time where it would be appropriate because Eddie deserves this. Like Eddie deserves to wrestle Jun Akiyama. Like it's literally like his entire career like was built towards this moment, and that he actually will actually finally get it. I think it's just incredibly heartwarming.
Yep, definitely. I assuming you haven't seen Dynamite yet.
No.
So
because it doesn't actually get shown here until Monday. So.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So there was a brief video package of like Takeshita and Akiyama backstage, and it was mostly a voiceover from like Ortiz and Eddie, and only Takeshita talked, and Jun just stood there in a DDT t-shirt and looked menacing.
I mean, hey, if that's all it takes, that's fine.
Yeah. Also, I noticed that Sanshiro Takagi went with Akiyama to the States. So something is afoot, I would assume, between AEW and probably all of Cyber Fight really at this point.
Yeah, I mean, since they have, like, especially because of all of the video packages that have gone up on the Noah YouTube channel, if you've seen those.
I have not. Just the one with Tony Khan.
Yeah, but so basically there's a bunch of video packages that have gone up on the Noah YouTube channel of a bunch of AEW guys. So I think the ones that I saw were Regal and Tony Schiavone talking about the Great Muta. Because I think Regal talked about the fact that he was one of the few people that is still active that has wrestled both the Great Muta as well as Keiji Muto.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And Tony would have been there the whole time that Muta was in WCW, whether it was 89 or 2000.
Yeah. So definitely seems like there's a lot more like cooperation going on with them with all of Cyberfight, which is really kind of like, it's weird because this means that this is kind of like the only actual crossover between DDT and Noah is AEW rather than them with each other. Like,
yeah,
weird.
Do you think Tony Khan will try to convince Takagi to stop working with GCW?
I mean, do we know if there's heat between Tony and like the GCW guys that he used to have in his company?
Well, the word is that AEW guys aren't going to be working GCW anymore. Like Mox is done, but he also signed an extension which might restrict him more. Mm-hmm. But there are rumors. I don't think they're like confirmed reports that you're not going to see any other AEW talent in GCW. I don't know if it's heat or Tony just like, I don't want these people on this in this company type thing.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely. I mean, if I'm DDT, there is also more value with having AEW guys.
Absolutely.
On your show rather than having like GCW.
Now
guys.
they have those DDT shows in at WrestleMania weekend, and that's going to be alongside GCW and the Collective. So that's happening, I'm sure, still. But it'll be interesting to see if after that they sort of, separate if Takagi gets closer to AEW.
Yeah. I mean, and again, like, this is what I mean about where it's weird about, like, cooperation within Cyberfight, because, like, shows at WrestleMania weekend, it's going to be GCW and DDT, and then it's going to be Noah and Dragongate rather than Noah and DDT and, like, Tokyo Joshi, I don't know, running some sort of joint show at WrestleMania weekend. But what I'm actually kind of starting to suspect, because it doesn't make sense for them to not cooperate, that this is actually a kind of mandate within the company, maybe to actually keep kind of a special and exclusive feeling to the Cyberfight Festival, and that's why they never cooperate outside of it.
Yeah, that would make sense. But
because it's really kind of the only explanation I can come up with, because it just doesn't make sense that there's no crossover at all.
Yeah, I think it would help Noah more than DDT, actually.
Well, I don't know. Have you seen some of those DDT numbers?
Yeah, not great. But, well, I mean, what do you expect from Ricky Shane Page as being one of your star foreigners?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that alone is like reason enough to kind of transition to AEW from GCW.
Yeah, exactly. Takagi's like maybe having a little bit of buyer's remorse at this point.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll talk about the most recent happenings. And we'll start with All Japan Pro Wrestling. They had their first show of the Real World Tag League and the Junior Battle of Glory on November 13th at Korakuen Hall in Tokyo in front of 794 fans. Paul? Kono, bigger draw than Kaito Kiyomiya.
Yeah, and what makes this even worse that I actually would consider this to be a disappointing number for All Japan.
Well, you know what they drew last year to the opening night of the Tag League?
No.
520.
Oof. Well, but that was with a lot more like capacity restrictions, right?
Yeah, and I think they were in the middle of another, like, surge.
Yeah. So, but still, yes, Kono is confirmed a bigger draw than Kaito Kiyomiya. Just like Atsuki Aoyagi is also a bigger draw than Kaito Kiyomiya.
Vamos Star should consider running the Budokan.
What, did Vamos start a Roma as well?
No, but I'm just saying, Kono is the draw. He runs Vamos Star.
Oh, sorry, yeah, okay. So, yeah, no, definitely, like, Suwama and Kono put them, top on Budokan. Jesus.
All right, so it was, I guess, dark match that happened like 10, 15 minutes before the actual show started. Izanagi, Black Menso-re, and Oji Shiba defeated Takao Omori, Yoshitatsu, and Tajiri in 3 minutes and 31 seconds when Izanagi pinned Yoshitatsu with a small package, which would set up an upcoming All Asia Tag Title challenge from Izanagi and Black Menso-re. I mean, it was a 3.5 minute match, but I thought it was sort of fun with Izanagi getting the win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it was 3 minutes long, so it's not really any time for anything to develop here, but I mean, it was just supposed to be the opener anyway.
Yeah. So the first official match of the show in the Junior Battle of Glory, Dan Tamura defeated Ryo Inoue in 5 minutes and 32 seconds with the Dan Lock. And Paul, I don't know if you saw, I think it was somewhat recently that Ryo Inoue went to Toshiaki Kawada's ramen restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And did you notice what visiting the ramen restaurant has done to him now?
He definitely developed a lot of a meaner attitude.
Yeah, he's got the kick pads, a bunch of new kicks. So I actually didn't expect this, but he's doing well.
Yeah,
and so
it kind of came out of nowhere because he also attacked Omori at the press conference.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
So I think would we say that he's now out of his young boy stage, or is he just like at the end of it, basically?
He's still going to be taking falls for a while.
Yeah, but it's definitely like it's clear what kind of character he's going to go for now.
Yeah. I feel like he sort of dealt more of a character faster than like Dan and Atsuki did.
I mean, arguably Dan still doesn't have a character.
Well, I'm going to have to defend our Dan the Man when we get to the next show here. But this was pretty straightforward, and I thought it was fine, and Tamura wins, so gets on the board. I'm not sure if Inoue is going to get any points if he can't beat Dan Tamura.
I think he's very much going to be the last post for the tournament. Probably going to finish with 0 points.
Maybe a draw.
I could see him like next year. I think is kind of when he stops being a young boy. Yeah.
In the next match in the Junior Battle of Glory, Rising Hayato defeated Hokuto Omori in 6 minutes and 8 seconds with a move called the Sid Vicious,
which is a really cool name for that.
Now, do you think he's referencing the Sex Pistol or the Sid that we all know and love?
I think he's referencing the Sex Pistol. I think because again, like if it was like referencing the wrestler, then it had to be a power bomb, right?
Of course, you're very true, very true.
Yeah,
I never thought of that actually. Yes, of course, it has to be a power bomb.
It's really the only move he had. He was really good at it, but it was also the only move he had.
I thought this was really good, although it was a little short. Well, I mean, all the matches are short, but you could have taken this to 9 minutes. I think it would have been even better.
Mm-hmm. No, I actually also really like this one. Also, I actually think that some of these Junior Battle of Glory matches could go a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Like I do like the kind of quick in and out, but I mean, they've all been good so far, so that's why.
Oh, for sure.
They definitely could. But they deserve more time. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, you could probably push it. They could have pushed it to 15, but anyway. Mm-hmm. Next up in the Junior Battle Glory, Hikaru Sato defeated Atsuki Aoyagi in 9 minutes and 54 seconds with the Wakagatame or Fujiwara armbar. This rocked.
Yeah, that was great.
This is awesome. And it's exactly, think of a match like Sato the Shooter versus Aoyagi the High Flyer. And, it was like Sato going after the arm like he often does, and then like he won with 6 seconds, and they teased Aoyagi escaping and everything, but he couldn't last.
Yeah, I really love the finish to this as well. But like Atsuki is just so super close to the rope, like he can almost touch them, and then Sato just wrenches him onto the ground and just taps him out. Like that was a great finish to it as well. And yeah, I mean Sato is still one of the best guys in the junior division, but like he's no longer like the only good guy in the division, and I think this really again showed it because Aoyagi was just able to keep up with him like all the way.
Yeah, and I liked because when they basically in most times you do a tournament match like this and you tease this, you end up just going to the time limit draw. So I like how they actually just had an actual finish. that
Yeah, I
was
think like it was great that they kind of subverted that as well, because I was watching it and I was like expecting it to actually go to a draw when they were doing all of those teases. Then I was even more like surprised when Sato just said, no, fuck this, and just finished them off with 6 seconds left.
Right. And then we go to our first match of the Real World Tag League. Koji Doi and Kuma Arashi defeated Jun Saito and Rei Saito in 8 minutes and 59 seconds by disqualification because Taru threw powder. Of course.
Yes, of course.
I thought this got off to a rocky start. But then when like Doi and Arashi went on offense, I thought it was starting to get kind of good. But then, Taru just threw the powder.
Yeah.
Not so great a match, all in all. I think in grand scheme of things, apart from like maybe 2 good minutes before the DQ.
Yeah, I almost feel this match went too long. I mean, if that was just going to be the finish anyway, I don't know. You could have just done this in like 5 minutes or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, not really all that much to it, and I'm kind of afraid that this is basically what Saito's matches are going to be in this tournament.
Well, we'll see. We'll talk about another one in a minute that I thought was a little better. Next up, in the Real World Tag League, Yuji Nagata and Yuma Anzai defeated Shotaro Ashino and Ryuki Honda, Gungnir of Anarchy, in 12 minutes and 47 seconds when Nagata used the Nagata Lock 54 on Honda, which is basically like a Nagata Lock 2 with a choke sleeper.
Yeah, pretty much.
I thought this was pretty darn good. And then at one point, Honda like cut open his hand, actually kind of pretty bad, and there was blood everywhere. But I thought that sort of added to the match, and there was like blood all over Nagata. And Honda and Nagata really had some great exchanges towards the end. And it's kind of huge that like Anzai's on the winning team of like the former tag team champions too. Yeah.
And I think, as always, accidental blood helps a match.
Yeah.
So I thought that's what.
But it's so weird to like have accidental blood, especially that much from someone's hand.
Yes. I'm really curious what happened there. I feel like, I don't know, split off like a nail.
I feel like
or something
he hit
like
the
that.
rope or something, and then he started bleeding.
That's what I mean, but that means like, I don't know, you had to like split a nail or something, because otherwise you don't just start bleeding that much from your hand.
Yeah.
Unless you like actually like tear something off, which you very
it would have to be a really deep cut. Yeah.
Yeah. So that might be it, that like a nail got caught in the rope or something like that. Mm-hmm. But I thought otherwise, yeah, this was really good. And again, it just kind of shows what they think of Anzai, that he's here and he's not just like the guy taking like he is obviously the guy that every time they lose, he's going to take the fall. But this very clearly isn't a team that is just going to go winless. So, which generally would be the team with the young boys, the team that goes winless. But because Nagata is a legend, and because I think they have high expectations for Anzai, they've already given them a win.
I actually think they're only going to get 4 points, but that's still pretty big for these guys.
Exactly. Like I said, realistically, generally, these kinds of teams get like 2 points or like 0 points max. Yeah. Whereas they start off with 2 points already. Like, even if they generally get points, it's like, I don't know, right at the end as an upset, and not like they get the win on the first night of the tournament in Korakuen Hall. Yeah, so I think that just really kind of like shows that we're dealing kind of with a special situation.
Yeah. Next up in the Real World Tag League, Shuji Ishikawa and Cyrus defeated Jake Lee and Yuma Aoyagi when Ishikawa pinned Aoyagi with a sort of like powerbomb chokeslam combo from Cyrus and Ishikawa. I gotta say, I kind of like this. I don't know. I mean, it's not high art. It's like a 3-star match, but I thought Ishikawa and Cyrus played their roles well, and Lee and Aoyagi took all the offense and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it was kind of a very classical tag match in a way, where you just had like the big monsters kind of dominate the match, and then I guess technically it's always weird to call Jake smaller because he's really tall.
Yeah.
And Yuma is also pretty big boy, just not as big as like Ishikawa and Cyrus. But again, like them kind of trying to like find an opening and trying to like mount a comeback, but then ultimately like the big guys are just too much and they just beat them. Yeah, as you mentioned, like it's nothing like that it's gonna make like a match of the year list or anything like that, but I thought it was a very enjoyable match overall.
And then next up in the Real World Tag League, Suwama and Kono defeated Kento Miyahara and Takuya Nomura in 16 minutes and 43 seconds with a backdrop from Suwama on Miyahara. First of all, I got to say, there was no cheating from Voodoo Murders in this match. And as a result, it was actually a good little tag match. And I even thought Kono looked good.
Yeah, I was really surprised by this because especially after the Saitos match, I was like, oh god, what are they gonna do here? Like, is Taru gonna come out with more powder? Are they gonna tease a DQ again? Like, what are they gonna do here? And then they just didn't do any of that, and it was really just a straight up tag match.
So, Suwama getting the pin over Miyahara is interesting. And I don't think Miyahara and Nomura are winning. So, Paul, do you think that Miyahara is going to be taking more falls in this tournament, or do you think Nomura will take one or two?
I would actually kind of expect him, like whatever falls they do, I would kind of expect him to split them somewhat. The thing also is with Takuya Nomura is that he's currently also, like, this isn't the only tag league that he's involved in.
Yeah, Big Japan has their tag league going on too.
Yeah. So
or is it a tournament?
No, yeah, they have a tag league going on. Like, it's him, it's Astronauts is in that tournament. So him and Abe. What I'm curious about is, like, does that mean Suwama's getting another Triple Crown shot at some point because he pinned Miyahara?
Maybe in like February or the end of January, because there's 2 Korakuen Halls in January, there's 3 Korakuen Hall shows. The traditional 2nd and 3rd, and then another one in like the 25th or 6th or something like that. So that's very possible.
Look, Miyahara said he wants to defend the Triple Crown 39 times.
Yes, he did. And
I love Kento Miyahara, but I think I'm going to stop watching if he actually gets to 39 defenses.
Yeah, and afterwards on social media, of course, because Kento and Takuya are the odd couple that can't get along. They now slap each other in the face before their matches to sort of get each other in the zone. Kento was very apologetic to Nomura on social media after the match for the loss. So the team is holding together for now.
Yeah,
Can
barely
they
by a thread.
Yeah. And so that was the first show. I don't know, like, I guess my expectations, especially with that main event, were sort of low. So I sort of enjoyed the show overall.
Yeah, same. Because I also thought there wasn't anything bad on the show either.
No.
Like, I think really the Saitos match, I guess.
Yeah.
But really, aside from that, like, I think every other match was enjoyable. Like, nothing really like overstayed its welcome either. Like, every match was like pretty quick in and out. So yeah, I thought it was an overall enjoyable show. Like, not gonna make my show of the year list, but I also cannot say that like I didn't enjoy myself. And I think if people just want like a good wrestling show that they can enjoy, I think they can definitely do worse than this one.
No, well, I think we'll talk about this next show, because I think maybe if you're looking for something, watch this one because it's got cheering.
Yes, watch this, because we need more Shin Kiba shows, because Shin Kiba First Ring currently has like the best atmosphere in wrestling, because it's just because I think because it is a smaller venue, and I think because all of the people that actually want to do cheering go to Shin Kiba. So
definitely. So we go to November 16th at Shin Kiba First Ring, 269 fans. That's on a Wednesday night show. That's down from like 300 that was on the Sunday, the 30th show. So not bad, I would guess. Maybe 300 is their limit, because haven't they? I've seen people claim 350, 400 in there at times.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the setup, and it is really not that different from the normal setup. Like, I think really because the setup on the stage looks the same, and then obviously the bleachers seem to be pretty full, although you rarely see them in Shin Kiba. And really the only difference I see is kind of on the sides of the ring. There appear to be only one row of chairs, whereas normally you can put like 2 to 3 rows of chairs on the sides of the ring. So really, I think that's about the only difference.
All right, yeah. So we go to the first match. in what could have basically been an All Japan 50th anniversary offer match, really. Takao Omori defeated Masao Inoue in 8 minutes and 10 seconds with an axe bomber. Paul, I couldn't look away because, you know, this was charming, but this also moved at a glacial pace.
Yeah, this was definitely, I mean, as we said, Omori can still go, but not if he's in there with someone like Inoue.
No.
Like, that's just gonna, like, because again, Omori can still go, but he's definitely not as, like, quickness is definitely not a strong suit at this point.
No.
And then someone like Inoue is even slower is just gonna, like, just accentuate that even more.
The big high spot in this match was them slapping each other's bellies.
Which, to be fair, I think that's a power move. It's like the resident dads, I guess.
I guess, yeah, for sure. The next, well, to be fair, Omori's belly's not Inoue's. Yeah, he's, you know, in pretty decent shape for a 53-year-old.
Yes, no, definitely. He just has like the belly of a 53-year-old that is in shape, but he is in shape rather than Inoue, who is, who looks his age. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Next up, for the All Asia Tag Team Championship, Yoshitatsu and Tajiri make their V1 defense against Izanagi and Black Mensa Ray in 9 minutes and 37 seconds when Yoshitatsu pinned Izanagi with a Cockroach Driver 2022, which is like
which is also an amazing name for a move.
Yeah.
I will give him credit for that.
It's a Michinoku Driver, man.
Yeah.
You know what? I kind of like this match, and I thought the interactions between Yoshitatsu and Izanagi towards the end, with like Izanagi trying to go for roll-ups, teasing the finish from the previous show, was good. I mean, this is a perfectly acceptable like second match on the card.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Izanagi is like the perfect guy for this kind of like All Asia Tag Team division, because I think he can always kind of like pull out something like this, and this is probably like the best match Yoshitatsu has had in like quite a while as well. So
basically, not a
definitely helped.
High bar to cross.
Yes, definitely not a high bar to cross, but it was just kind of inoffensive, and I thought it was also kind of a nice kind of down card match, basically. Which, I mean, if this is just kind of what we're going to get from Yoshitatsu and Tajiri, then I guess it's kind of good that they kind of like warded off into like, it's kind of a rebirth of the Yoshitatsu verse in a way, where he's just kind of warded off into like his own match on the card, basically.
Yeah. And then after the match, Yusuke Kodama and Masao Hanabata, the former Seigo Tachibana, came out to challenge, and that match will happen on November 27th. So I don't know, could you rule out a title change?
No, because it's the All Asia titles. Like, I don't think you can ever really rule out a title change.
No. Because I feel like, I don't know, I mean, Gungnir's getting some big reactions.
Mm-hmm.
You might want to belt them up.
Yeah, especially after what happened in the main event.
Yeah. And then next up, in the Junior Battle of Glory, Atsuki Aoyagi defeated Ryo Inoue in 5 minutes and 29 seconds with the Firebird Splash. Inoue showing off his kicks once again. This was great, but then like it seemed like Atsuki just hit the Firebird Splash out of nowhere and got the win. Right? I thought this was shaping up to be really good.
Yeah.
Again, another 2-3 minutes would have been great.
Yes. Yeah. I think this one really like was the one where it was like the most notable, that they just didn't really get enough time. But I also like that they actually like used the time that they did get to actually showcase Inoue's development. Because I mean, Aoyagi is the champion, so they very easily just could have had like Aoyagi dominate the match for 5 minutes and then just put Inoue away, but they didn't do that. Like, instead, they kind of like showed what Inoue can do, and then Atsuki just still got like kind of a definitive quick win. So I did like what they did with the time, but I also agree that they deserved a bit more time on this match.
Yeah. And next up in the Junior Battle of Glory, Dan Tamura, now at 4 points leading, he defeated Hikaru Sato in 9 minutes and 5 seconds, the Death Valley Bomb. The biggest upset, I'd say, in either tournament so far. And the biggest win of Dan's career, absolutely no question.
And singles win.
Singles win. And Paul, is this the best singles match of Dan's career?
I would say so.
I mean, I thought this was awesome. Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Not like
I
match
never
your
would have
level or
expected
anything.
him to win here either. Like,
No.
like I really like if you had asked me how this match ends, and like if you had put a gun to my head and like forced me to say how the match ends, I probably would have died because I would have just like gone through all the different ways Sato could have won the match before I would have picked Dan to win, basically.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was like the ending was fairly simple. They're doing the wobble. They're each wobbling around, throwing elbows at each other. And then Dan like sort of powers up, hits 2 lariats and then the Death Valley Bomb. But Sato had been like working over. Sato controlled most of this match, but then like Dan would fight back with lariats and shoulder blocks and everything. But I just all thought it worked together. Now, do you think this is Sato, or do you think Dan's starting to improve his game even more?
I think Dan is kind of starting to improve, like, because I think he's showing a little bit more confidence in everything now.
Yeah.
I think he is kind of starting to go a lot more into kind of like being a bit more of a power junior.
Yeah.
Because I think he was kind of focusing very heavily kind of on his technical game previously, rather than kind of use the fact that he has like a relatively large frame. And now that he's actually making more use of that, I think it actually has really helped his game as well.
Yeah, definitely. And then so we move on to non-tournament match. Jake Lee, Yuma Aoyagi, and Hokuto Omori defeated Kento Miyahara, Rising Hayato, and Oji Shiba in 13 minutes and 31 seconds. And Yuma got the endgame submission on Shiba. This was awesome on like multiple levels, I'd say. Just like all action. There's some pretty wild crowd brawling in this too. And then at one point, Jake and Yuma put Kento and Hayato in the Paradise Lock. I wonder if that's a tease about... Oh, crap. We forgot to talk about the announcements. So we'll get to that after.
Yeah.
That just reminded me when I said Paradise Lock. So we'll get to that after that. Yeah, I mean... and the atomic drop is still being used by Jake, torturing people's butts and everything like that.
Yuma's also using it, so
yeah, and Yuma used it too. So it was just a lot of fun. Like the humor wasn't like dragging down the match, but it got the crowd engaged. Obviously, everybody's hugely over.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just really, I'd say, the best match on the show, probably.
Yeah, I would say that. I think I liked it a bit more than Dan versus Sato. Yeah. And I would also say, like, I was surprised how over Jake was.
Yeah, so was I.
He was super fucking over in this match. Like, everyone really kind of was. So
I mean, even Shiba got a few chants at one point.
Well, to be fair, I liked it when like Kento's theme starts and everyone like starts chanting, and then Shiba comes out first, and I think there was like one person in the crowd that then just really loudly started screaming Shiba.
That's
and also
funny.
how tiny he looks, tiny compared to the rest of them. Like, I think that just really brings across how big like the average wrestler in all Japan is.
Even the juniors are bigger than other companies' juniors.
Even Hayato and Omori were just towering over OG Shiba, basically.
Yeah.
Like, they were like, which again makes sense. Like Shiba was a Dragongate guy who are on average like a lot smaller than like, and I think he was also a smaller guy even by Dragongate standards as well. Mm-hmm. So it just makes sense. But yeah, I thought that was just like really like when all of them were like in the ring, I was like looking around and there's like Shiba and he just looks like so much smaller. But I think he still fits in really well with the promotion.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, and yeah, this was just a ton of fun. Just like great like filler like in the middle of the card. Just put like all of like the most over people basically in the company in there, and just have them kind of go wild for 13 minutes. Yep. I thought, this was just a ton of fun.
And then next up in the Real World Tag League, Shuji Ishikawa and Cyrus defeated, double count out against Koji Doi and Kuma Arashi. I thought this was, again, kind of fun. I thought the double count out part was very flat, but like seeing like Kuma put Cyrus in a Argentine backbreaker was actually quite impressive.
Yes.
Even if he was only up there for a few seconds.
Yeah. And after he kind of screwed it up the first time as well, but like the fact that he even got him up the second time is just even more impressive. Because Cyrus is a big, big boy. Like, I think that just kind of shows off, like, I always love these kind of feats of strength from Kuma Arashi because he is genuinely really strong.
So I don't know. I mean, I could see a lot of people not liking this, but I thought it was fine up until the finish. I thought Kumadori actually worked kind of pretty hard in this to sort of make something of it.
Yeah. No, I thought overall this was pretty decent match, but yeah, the finish kind of left like a sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah,
like,
because I think it might have been partially the camera angles because it was just like Cyrus clubbing one of them. I can't remember if it was Doi or Kuma, and then it's just like the time.
Could you even really hear the ref? Like, because I don't even remember if I really even heard the ref counting.
No, I didn't.
Like, and then it was just like all of a sudden just the bell rings and it's a double count out.
Yeah.
I mean, the one saving grace though was kind of Cyrus's reaction to it, where he basically threatened to kill the ref.
And he powerbombed Kuma on the apron.
Yeah. So that was like the one saving grace of the finish, but like otherwise, decent match with a bad finish.
Next up, in the Real World Tag League, Jun Saito and Rei Saito defeated Yuji Nagata and Yuma Anzai in 12 minutes and 5 seconds with the diving body press from Rei on Anzai. I thought this was way better performance from the Saitos than the previous show. And as far as I think this is the second best match that the Saitos have had since their return, with the best being the tag title match at Korakuen against Gungnir of Anarchy. I don't know. Paul, what do you feel about that?
Yeah, I would generally agree with that. Still don't think it was like really like a blowaway or anything like that, but it was a very solid performance, and also it was miles better than like what the first match was during the tournament. Yeah. Which, to be fair, isn't hard. That's a low bar to clear. No. But yeah, I mean, they were in there with Yuji Nagata, I think, who just kind of like knows how to kind of direct guys like these to have like
I thought Anzai worked well against them too.
Yeah. No, Anzai sold well for them as well, so I thought that helped. So because they had someone to like beat up on, and they had like Yuji Nagata kind of like directing traffic in there. So in a way, Nagata and Anzai were like carrying the match.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the Saitos didn't like get in the way or anything like that. So they carried their part of the match well. But I'm wondering if this might be like the high point for them in the tournament.
Maybe, we'll see. No, because they're against some other teams that are good.
Yeah, but I'm kind of afraid that like the other matches might have more cheating than this one.
That's true. That's a very good point. And then next up in the main event, Shotaro Ashino and Ryuki Honda defeat Suwama and Kono in 15 minutes and 54 seconds with the ankle lock from Ashino on Suwama. Paul, this is Ashino's first direct victory over Suwama in over 2 years in the company.
Yeah. I really didn't expect it. I was like, okay, I was like, probably like Gungnir of Anarchy is gonna win, but I was like, it's gonna be like Ashino tapping off. Kono.
This was miles better than their tag title match, even though this still had interference. Yes. Like the Saito brothers. Oh, I forgot to say, this blended in from the last match like an ECW match.
Yes,
because there was a beatdown after the match, and then like Ashino and Honda ran out, and then Suwama and Kono ran out, and they just sort of started wrestling the match and everything like that.
It also happened super quickly because I remember because the Saitos won, and then that meant it was muted on alljapan.tv. Right. And I remember like after Saitos won, I like just briefly like looked down on my phone, and then all of a sudden I hear like a bell ring, and I look up, and Suwama and Ashino are in the ring, and I'm like, what happened here?
Yeah, exactly. Paul, we might have to add Dream Warriors to the intro to this podcast.
We might maybe for like, because we're like, I mean, it's November now. What I might want to suggest is maybe that we do like a redo of the theme rotation for like the 1 year anniversary.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, some people will be retiring.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Like we can probably like kick out like Nosawa and
maybe we'll hold on to Nosawa for a month or two just to see what happens. Because I'm far less confident. And I know people are saying, Muto, is he really retiring? Well, I'm far less confident in Nosawa actually retiring as well.
I mean, look, worst case scenario, we'll just put in the Black Tiger 7 theme.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, Saito's got in the ring. There's a couple of ref bumps, but I mean, I think the crowd reactions helped this. The crowd was hot as hell for this, right? And it's just like, man, you got to do, like, I don't know. I just feel like if Ashino and Honda get the win here, do you think, what are the chances of winning the tournament and then beating Suwama and Kono again?
I think pretty decent that they're gonna win. And I also really didn't.
And I was predicting Ashino and Honda for this tournament, but I figured they were going to lose here again.
Yeah, but I feel like if you want them to retain like some sort of credibility, like
that's true too.
They need to win. And I kind of really had the feeling that like after the interference started, that they were actually going to win, simply because like it just made perfect sense that like they basically did like a repeat of what happened in the tag title match. Only this time they're actually going to be able to reverse it and actually get the win, and that way like create more intrigue for like the eventual title match down the road. Like for me now, this is a lot more likely that they're going to win now.
I think also this sets up in the third match just not doing interference.
Yeah. Because now they've overcome interference, so now there's really no point for them to like do it again, and then they just have a straight up
because when Ashino and Honda survived that interference, the crowd just like went nuclear, right? Like they got something here with these guys.
Yes.
Right?
No, definitely. They're super over. And I mean, it also showed, like, for example, like the match where like Suwama and Kono just wrestled a straightforward match, they won. Whereas in the one where they did loads of interference, they lost. Yeah,
for sure. So a couple of announcements, and we'll get to the ones that I missed that were announced on the other Korakuen show. So the World Tag titles and the Junior title will be defended on January 2nd at Korakuen, and the Triple Crown match on January 3rd. So Paul, my prediction that one of Shuji Ishikawa's exes was Unagi Sayaka was very wrong, but but honestly, I didn't see this one coming. But I am just completely elated that it was this team 200 kilograms. Chihiro Hashimoto and you are Shuji's mystery partners to take on Suwama, Mayumi Ozaka, and Maya Yukihi. I think this match will be pretty damn good.
Yes, like that's about the like ideal people you could have gotten for that, to be quite honest. Like especially to team with Shuji Ishikawa as well, because that's like 3 big people that are just gonna be like wrecking shit. Like, it's gonna be. I
honestly think they should make this a no DQ match.
Yeah, I mean, because you're definitely gonna have a police run-in.
Because police run-in, and if there's gonna be cheating, if it's not a no DQ match anyway.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Ozaki's going to get the chain. And, so.
Suwama's going to throw powder.
Yeah, for sure. But, so I think that will be great.
Yeah, I think the other important question, though, is Ishikawa going to be able to make weight?
Well, he's vowing to get down to 100 kilograms to be team 300 kilograms. And I don't think he is going to by, he's got, 5 weeks?
Yeah, it's...
Because the show is on Christmas Day.
Yeah, the All Japan website has him at like 130 kilograms.
So it's like 280 pounds or something like that?
Sure, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I also don't think he's going to be able to like lose 30 kilograms in like a month. If so, that's going to be really unhealthy too.
Yeah.
It's going to be like...
I mean, he got himself in an incredible shape, but he never got that. He never got that low in weight.
He's going to look like fucking Walter in WWE if he actually manages to do that.
Yeah, he is for sure. So that's a really great announcement that I'm excited for. But wait, Paul, there's more. Then we got the announcement that Kaz Hayashi and Naoya Nomura were announced on the show. But there's even more after that, because this is basically now like a New Japan show, because listen to this. Yuji Nagata, obviously. Toru Yano again. Ryohei Oiwa. Yuto Nakashima. Kosei Fujita. Now, we've all seen them in All Japan recently, but here's a real big, some blast from the past, because these are all former All Japan wrestlers. Taichi, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, Sanada, and Bushi.
Yeah. This is
I wonder if they did that
all of
Paradise
the old All
Lock
Japan
spot.
guys that went to New Japan.
I wonder if they did that Paradise Lock spot as sort of building up to Sanada and Bushi.
Yeah. I
Sonata.
could see. Oh God, if we're gonna get Jake Lee versus Sonata, that's the anti-fire match, basically.
Yeah. Well, they could form a tag team and be Team No Charisma.
I'm actually not opposed to that. Maybe that finally gets Jake booked in New Japan.
Yeah. So we don't know what they're going to be doing, but I mean that's a pretty good lineup.
I'm especially really looking forward to Taichi.
Oh, for sure.
Coming back.
Does
Because
this begin
the Taichi that was in
Taichi-
All Japan is a completely different person to the Taichi now.
Yeah. I can't wait to see Kanemaru. I hope they put him
Yeah.
against like Sato or something because they've tussled in the past. But it's
Oh
been
yeah,
a long
that
time.
should be really. To be fair, I also kind of want to see him against like Atsuki.
Yeah.
Just because it's probably going to be like your only chance to even do that.
Yeah, for sure. And Paul, on December 25th at Korakuen Hall, does the Taichi race to the Triple Crown begin?
I mean, maybe.
Look, if you could convince New Japan to let him do the job, I really think Kento and Taichi could do a nice number in Korakuen and it would be an awesome match.
You know what actually also would be an option? If New Japan is willing to play ball. Taichi wins.
Oh,
And
God.
he drops it to Yuma. Because they have that
Yes,
history
yes,
from the
actually.
Super J Cup.
That's very true. Now, that's the interesting question is, though, does fulfilling that coming full circle mean more than Yuma beating Kento, though?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Because there's plenty of history between Kento and Yuma that has been developed subsequently, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, of course, the Taichi and Yuma stuff is great whenever they do are in the ring together. But I just feel like it's probably better to have Yuma beat Kento.
Unless maybe Taichi kind of sticks around for a little bit longer and maybe even does like the Champion Carnival or anything like that.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I don't know.
But I think definitely
I don't-
like that's the person I'm most excited about.
Taichi still feels at a level above the dads that he's
Yeah.
not been completely cycled out. So it's going to be your Nagata that's going to be the regulars.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. But it's same with Kojima and Noah. So that's All Japan. So you still like I can't remember what your prediction. My prediction was Ashino and Honda winning, and I'm still relatively confident of that. What about you, Paul? Who's taking it all
Mine was Yuma and Jake, but I think I'm also flipping it to Ashina and Honda now after they beat Suwama and Kono, especially like in the
Yuma
fashion
and
that they did.
Jake are having good matches, and I expect them to have good matches, but I just don't feel they have that team chemistry.
No, they don't. Like this
And
feels more like just like both of them are in a holding pattern rather than
Yeah.
them actually wanting to develop this into a proper team.
Well, I mean, I would hope, like, see, the way that the All Japan calendar goes is like once you start getting late into the year, things do go into a holding pattern because you got to get through to the tag league, and they pick up again in the new year, which has been generally the case for the last several years. Remember, like even before the pandemic, you had the whole Kento and Yuma angle with the famous German suplex heard around the world and stuff like that. So I'm thinking that Yuma, ideally and hopefully, that they're putting Yuma in a new direction in January.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. But yeah, I just don't like just from the vibes I'm getting from that Jake and Yuma team. Like they don't feel like they're really going to be like staying together beyond this tournament, and I don't think they're going to win anymore. So I'm also thinking now that Gangue of Anarchy is winning.
Yeah, Paul, we've got to talk about some of Jake's new fashion choices here.
You mean the Zainichi tribal chief?
Yes. So, well, someone pointed out Tekken of like, was it Jin Kazama? Is that his name?
Yeah,
In
Jin
Tekken?
Kazama from Tekken. Yeah, that's actually also the other thing I saw. Thought when I saw the gloves.
I haven't played Tekken in a long time. I used to play a lot of Tekken. Can you guess who my favorite Tekken character was?
Is it Paul?
No.
Is it
King.
Armor King? Oh. King, okay.
It was
King.
just regular King, yeah.
Okay.
Because Tekken 3 was the first Tekken I ever played.
Okay, fair enough, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, thank God in that case that it wasn't Yoshimitsu, because I remember being absolutely driven insane by people playing Yoshimitsu.
Yeah, but people pointed out the Tekken thing, but I just got because it's more pronounced fingerless glove on the right hand, and it just had pure Roman Reigns vibes. You got to acknowledge him.
Yeah, gotta acknowledge Drake Lee. I mean, sure,
Yeah.
why not? As long as this doesn't result in Drake going on a 2-year title run.
Yeah. Now, are you still baffled that this man is wearing those Total Eclipse tights? I thought he was going to get new tight. It's a tournament. That's when you whip out the new gear.
Yeah, I think at this point he's probably going to do it for the new year if he still hasn't done it. So yeah, I mean, I guess he had you know where Jake's priorities lie. It's getting new gloves rather than getting new tights. So I guess he had to pick either, so he picked the new gloves.
Yeah. And so we move on to Pro Wrestling Noah. The show was just called Global Honored Crown on October 11th at Korakuen Hall for a stacked show where all the titles were defended, drawing 789 fans, which is technically their best Korakuen number this year, but still even behind much weaker All Japan shows.
Yeah, I mean...
Not by a lot, but still losing to weaker All Japan shows.
Again, you lost to Kono.
Yeah. Now, I've not been as harsh on the Noah Korakuen numbers because they're basically glorified house shows with an angle here and there. Someone will come out to challenge or whatever. Or maybe even turn on, juniors will turn on each other. But, and yes, obviously, for the same kind of show, New Japan draws considerably more, but they're much larger. And you can still see them as a sort of overall indication of the sort of vitality of Noah's business. Mm-hmm. But this is bad.
Yeah, I think this is kind of indefensible. You just look because this isn't just that they gave them a title match. I think maybe this number is defensible if it's it's just a junior title defense. If
this was just the national only title.
Yeah, if the only title match on this is Dante Leon versus Ninja Mac, then okay, then this number is okay. But not if it's literally every single fucking title being defended. That is just that is such an absurdly loaded show, and the fact that they didn't even because we were debating last show it's can they draw 1,000 fans? Would we consider anything below 1,000 to be a disappointment? And they didn't even get close to 1,000. They didn't even sniff it at all. They barely managed to get they managed to get 89 people above the limit for a cheering show.
Paul, do you think that they did title changes on the show sort of to convince people to come to Korakuen next time?
I guess.
Some of them.
Because there were loads of them, a lot more than expected.
We'll talk about some of the other title changes for other reasons.
Some of them are baffling.
But that junior tag, I think, was just to do it to show it can happen.
It's also the one I mind the least, despite the fact that I don't really like half of the new champions.
Yeah. Next up, Yoshiki Inamura and Kai Fujimura defeated Yasutaka Yano and Taishi Ozawa with a shoulder tackle. But this is an Inamura shoulder tackle, mind you, on Ozawa. Fun. I thought this was a good opener.
Yeah.
And for the only non-title match. So we move on into GHC Junior Tag Team titles. Shuji Kondo and Hajime Ohara defeated Atsushi Katoge and Seki Yoshioka in 20 minutes and 37 seconds. Wow, I didn't realize it even went that long. When Ohara used the Moi Bien on Yoshioka, the champions failed in their V2 defense. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Katoge and Yoshioka are great. This match was good, not super high level or anything, but it certainly a nice little junior action for 20 minutes. But I just don't understand the change other than to say you could do it in Korakuen, to be titles can change in Korakuen. Yeah. That's all I got out of it.
Yeah, pretty much. I also would have preferred if Katoge and Yoshioka had kept the titles. Like I said, this is the title change I mind the least. Still not a big fan of it. But again, it's the junior tag titles. So it's okay, I can kind of see where always play a bit more hot potato with it. But I just hope and that also is basically where I'm I don't think Kondo and Ohara are going to hold those belts for very long.
No.
So, but I also would have liked Katoge and Yoshioka to carry them for a little bit longer. But again, if you want to create some intrigue and get people to come to Korakuen shows, I think this makes like sense to do a title change here. But yeah, otherwise,
we'll talk about
whatever.
And yet another title change for the GHC Junior Heavyweight title. Dante Leon defeats Ninja Mac in 12 minutes and 49 seconds with the Inferno. Ninja has no successful
to the Inferno
defenses.
with no reaction.
To no reaction. This match technically went longer than 12:49 because Dante jumped Ninja Mac and they brawled in the crowd and dived off stuff before they even got in the ring to start the match, which I thought was actually not a bad way to start. I thought this was fine, like 3 stars, 3.25, but it was like very, North American indie-rific, so your mileage may vary on that, right? But still, I didn't like the result. However, Paul, Leon is booked on Noah's shows coming up, but Mac's not. So I wonder if Mac had to go back to the States, which also makes me wonder if Hayata was actually supposed to win.
Yeah, I think now I feel like Hayata was actually supposed to win that, and that's why they did the quickie title change here, because like it just doesn't make sense otherwise. Why the fuck are you going to put the title on Dante Leon?
Yeah. Wait, so this match was not announced going into the show when Mac was facing Hayata, though, right?
No, yeah, it was not yet announced, yeah.
So you could have put someone else in this match to beat Mac, right?
Yeah.
So that's interesting, too, I suppose.
I guess they really like Dante Leon for
who else
fucking
who
reason.
would have been free? Yoshinari Ogawa?
Yeah. Chris Ridgway. Is Ridgway back in the UK, I guess?
I don't think Ridgway's in... Wait, let me just see if he's on the upcoming big show. I don't think he is. No, he's not. So I don't think he's in Japan.
Yeah. I mean, you would have... Well, I mean, if you want to put it on like someone new, like you could have put it on someone like Alejandro.
Yep. Yes. That would have been good.
That would have been like a fun new idea.
Yep, for sure.
Could have put it on. Just look through who else would be there on the roster. I mean, if you want to do a foreigner, I don't know, like Extreme Tiger, if he's sticking around for a little bit longer. Like, I'm not a big fan of his, but like I think he's better than Dante Leon.
Yeah, for sure. They seem to like him.
Yeah. Eita.
Yeah. So, yeah, the choices were more than just Dante Leon, I have to say. We'll see where this goes because he doesn't have another defense announced yet, I don't think. Because I just got the card, so.
Is he going to hold it until Budokan?
I wonder. Or maybe he's just holding it and then Mac comes back and beats him.
Or he's holding it until Hayata is healthy again.
That's also very possible. Next up, we had GHC Tag Team Championship. Takashi Sugera and Satoshi Kojima defeat Mohamed Yone and Akitoshi Saito in 22:54 with a referee stop. Sugera beat Saito with the front neck lock to make their second defense of the titles. This meant a little too long, but I still like this, especially because like at one point Sugera and like Saito were just stiffing the shit out of each other, right? There was some good stuff in here. It just went a little too long.
Yeah, I think could have like cut a couple of minutes off of this, and I thought that would have been an excellent match. What we still got was still pretty good. I actually really liked the finish too, with where Segura has Saito in the front neck lock, and Saito is just like barely holding on, and then Yone comes in and like tries to break it up, and then Kojima just floors Yone with a lariat, and then Saito finally just collapses and passes out. And then the referee just waves it off. Like, did you see like the side, like immediately after the finish, did you see like the side of Takashi Sugura where he just had like Saito's drool all over him?
Yes, yeah.
That was a great visual as well at the end. And yeah, otherwise, like, they did kind of the best that they could here, and just, I think making this like really stiff is kind of the best way to go for these guys.
Yeah, for sure.
So it was an enjoyable kind of filler title defense.
Yeah, definitely. And then we had we could have a lot to talk about this. GHC national title. Hio de Dr. Wagner Jr. defeated Masakatsu Funaki in 13 minutes and 3 seconds with a moonsault press. Funaki finally loses his damn title after sixth successful defenses, and Wagner becomes the 9th champion.
Yes, who we all expected this to go, how we all expected this title reign to go, that he loses it to Wagner Jr.
So
he should have Wagner Jr. Sorry.
This is a bit of a styles clash, and there wasn't really much to this match. The last couple of minutes were okay, but not the greatest match.
No, it was boring.
Yeah,
like there was just really nothing to it. Like it was a pro wrestling match. I think is the best way I can sum it up.
Yeah. So the shooters were only put over luchadors.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, I mean, at least Funaki just laid down and actually just got pinned and didn't kick out at the end. So
no, he did not kick out 3.01.
No.
So Yoshiki Inamura comes out to challenge Wagner, and we'll be talking about that show in a minute. But Paul, this has Funaki not willing to lose to Inamura written all over it.
I immediately got out my tinfoil hat and was just like, oh, this
you don't need. It's not a tinfoil hat in this one.
Yeah, this immediately was here's the thing. Okay, if Inamura loses, then I guess not. But if Inamura wins, then it's incredibly obvious what is happening here.
It's the main event of that show, I think.
Yes, it is. So,
which seems to me okay, we're crowning Inamura.
Yeah.
Which is good and great, right? I'm very excited that he will get this title, but it's just...
for whatever, I really didn't like the Funaki reign and everything. But you know what? If it actually had ended in, the main event of that Yogi show and he puts over, Yoshiki Inamura after, a long title reign or whatever, that actually means something. Whereas now he just beats this random foreigner.
This long title reign, it doesn't mean anything.
No, yeah.
What was this?
I don't know.
God, he should have lost. I would have even accepted him losing it to Sakuraba.
Yeah. Actually, that would have been better. Then you get you give Sakuraba beats him with all of the history or whatever. Then he defends it against Wagner here, and then he loses it to Inamura.
Yeah. Although I don't know if Sakuraba can take Inamura's offense at this point.
Yeah, maybe not. It would have been Inamura at his most gentlest, basically.
Yeah. So that's that, and that's just.
I mean, it is what it is. As long as Inamura wins here, it's
not.
We'll just go from there.
It's some progress for Inamura.
Yes, it's some progress. He holds a title that actually has some prestige. Actually, he holds a title in the first place, which means that they're actually giving him a push. It won't be off to an ideal start if that's how it goes, but at least it's off to a start.
Yeah. Watch them still book him in next year's N1 as the national champion, and he gets 4 points.
Or he just loses it to, Fujita immediately.
Or someone at
Budokan.
The Budokan, yeah. Or because there's the Budokan show coming up, and then there's also the Yokohama Arena show. That's the final Muta, right? So there'll be chances for title matches. So GH, okay, and a match I don't have too many negative things to say about. GHC heavyweight title, Kaito Kiyomiya defeats Timothy Thatcher in 37 minutes and 27 seconds with the modified Shining Wizard for his second defense of the title. Paul, this was awesome.
Yes. This was Kaito's best match since the Suzuki match, by far.
Is this a hot take if I say Kaito Kiyomiya might be the best technical wrestler in the world?
I mean, he's hung in there with 2 excellent ones now, right? He's really hung in there with Thatcher and Suzuki, so...
And Ogawa.
I don't think I'm willing to commit to that just yet, but I can see your argument for it.
Yeah. I mean, this was obviously very heavily map-based. Your mileage may vary going into this. I sort of looked at Cage Match, and there's, definitely, well, I think it got a very good rating on Cage Match, but there's no shortage of your 6s and 7s as opposed to 8s and 9s, right?
Look, I mean,
so it's not good.
Thatcher a Thatcher match will always be divisive. That's just how it is. There's people that
well,
that
37
hate
minutes
it,
is
and
also
people
decisive.
That like it. I like Thatcher, so that helps.
Yeah, 37 minutes is also divisive. Often.
Yes. I think if you really don't like Thatcher and you also see it's a 37-minute match, I don't blame you if you don't want to watch that. That's fair, but
they were always doing something.
Yes.
They were always doing something. They were fighting over holds. Thatcher and Kaito sold the arm the next day. He had it wrapped in a bandage and everything like that. And so, and it was like a steady build. Like they were still doing like headlocks on each other at like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I think, or something like that. And just incredible professional wrestling, if you ask me.
I also like that, like compared to the Suzuki match, like it was a lot more of a back and forth, because the Suzuki match was very much like the whole structure of like Kaito's underneath and he's selling. Because they did that to start off this match.
Surprise.
Yeah. They did that to start off this match as well, but then kind of slowly but surely Kaito actually like managed to kind of come back more and more and actually like take control of the match. Like this is actually the kind of Kaito performance I've been waiting for. Like I've been saying, like Kaito just needs to like take one of these matches and just take it by the balls basically. And I think he kind of did that in a way here, where he actually was like he was
maybe
still
not
mostly
quite as much by
working
the
from
balls
underneath.
that he needs to. Yeah.
But
definitely was a little different vibe than the Hideki match.
Yes, like he definitely felt a lot more like not just like a guy that just like managed to like get out with the win. Like he actually felt like a guy that actually was like able to stand up to Thatcher.
Yeah. And I was going to say something.
And the finish also looked a lot better. Like the modified shiny wizard looked a lot better than he's done it previously.
Yeah. And then, well, I guess what's next for Thatcher? Do you think he'll have any direction? Or he's just going to be bumping around in 6-man tags?
I don't know. Like, still kind of afraid that he might get called back to WWE.
Well, a certain other wrestlers that's been wrestling in Japan might be headed back there.
Yeah,
from
get out
some
and
reports.
eat shit shot for Jonah right there.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, but for Thatcher, I wouldn't blame him if he goes back. It's not like he had like a bad experience there. They kind of let him
Thatcher's also like 39.
Yeah, true.
Getting that coaching gig in the performance center is not.
Yeah. And again, his run, like from what I've heard, was like they kind of just let him do his thing, which is surprising for WWE.
Well, it was. Well, I think it was still Triple H running NXT at the time.
Yeah.
So he gave him a little leeway, and he certainly did better in NXT than I think his detractors were expecting, right?
Yeah.
Or someone like his aesthetic and style would do in WWE normally. For sure. But he's got no chance on the main roster.
No.
Go back. He'd have to be a trainer and occasional wrestler on NXT.
Yeah. I hope that it's not happening soon. Like I hope that he actually sticks around to know a bit longer, and then I don't know when he
maybe he goes back in a year or two to coach or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like because he also seems to be having fun with this.
Yep, for sure.
So I think because he's just such a great addition to the roster, it would be a shame if he like leaves now. I mean, it would be kind of a very logical run, basically. Like he comes in, he wins the tag title. He was supposed to be in the N1, but then he just build him up for a title match. He loses the title match, and then he leaves. Like it would be like a very logical, like satisfying run. But I just think he is such a great fit that I hope he just sticks around.
Yeah, and also Keno came out to challenge Kaito after the match, and that's happening on January 1st, Budokan. Thoughts on that? I think it's fine because the real draw of that show is Muta versus Nakamura. So you can do Keno versus Kaito again.
I heard some people complain it's like they're doing this match again so quickly, and it's like, kind of get that, but also I think it just makes too much sense for this match to happen at Budokan. Like, we've literally been banging about this exact match being the title match at Budokan for months now. And that's exactly what they're doing because it is the most logical thing. Like their story is like first show of the year, these two have like a big match with each other. That's literally what they've been doing for like years now. Like there's so much history built up with that. They just did it this year where like Keno knocked out Kaito again. So, like when that happened, like at that point I already kind of penciled this in. I like this is something they're gonna like come back to like real soon. So yeah, this just makes perfect sense to me. Yes, you go back to the same match immediately again, but again, just the amount of history and story that is around this match, I think
exactly that's what I was going to say. It's if you look at the long arc of their rivalry, it's fine to go back this soon, and you're not even really technically the biggest draw on the show.
Yes, exactly. Like that show is going to draw by itself.
Yeah,
just based off of Muta versus Nakamura.
Yeah, and then we go to the next day. I called this a joint show with Dragongate, but it really sort of wasn't sort of marketed as such. It's just called Global Dream, and Noah Presents, not Noah/Dragongate. So your mileage may vary, but they did 1,209 fans. Now, Paul, this is some stealing Dragongate valor if I've ever seen any.
Yes. This was just completely just like a fucking like parasite fish attaching yourself to the site and just be like, hey, look, we drew 1,200 fans.
Now, to be fair, there were Noah fans in that audience, but there was a lot of Dragongate fans in that audience too.
Because where were the Noah fans literally the day before?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Right.
yeah. I mean, it definitely is a success. So, like, I guess they should do it again.
Yeah, 1,200 in Korakuen Hall these days is nothing to sneeze at.
No, but I mean, it is kind of, if you put all of your title matches on a show and you draw a fraction, like, of what the show draws with no title defenses that just has a bunch of Dragongate guys on it.
Yeah.
That is not good. That is not a good sign at all.
No. So first up, Yoshiki Inamura, Yasutaka Yano, and Kai Fujimura defeated Mochizuki Jr., Madoka Kakuta, and Ryu Fuda in 11 minutes and 55 seconds with the Oklahoma Stampede on Inamura on Fuda. This was a lot of fun, and I like the dynamic of having Inamura in there with all of these smaller guys. And I thought this was actually the third best match of the show.
Yeah. No, this was great. Just like Inamura just towering over everyone in there, basically. He was just so much taller than anyone else in the ring. It was kind of absurd.
So I should clarify, the only Dragon Gate matches I've seen this year is the fabled Twin Gate match from Kobe World. That's Shun Skywalker and Diamante versus Jackie Funky Kamei and Jason Lee, and a couple of Kai matches because Kai rules. I think we can all agree on that, right?
Yeah.
It's a real tragedy he was not on the show.
No, he should have been.
Yeah, I would have actually liked to see him face some Noah guys. So yeah, I'm seeing some of these wrestlers like Fuda. He debuted. He's like new, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is actually, well, we'll get to who I saw for the first time, and I have some thoughts on.
Okay. I think I have a feeling who that might be, but okay.
Yeah. Next up, the tag team five-way elimination match. Manabu Soya and Ishin defeated Muhammad Yone, Big Boss Shimizu, and as well as Susumu Mochizuki and Yasushi Kanda. Now, that takes me back to a time when I did watch Toryumon. Eita, Super
M2K
Crazy.
is back. It's now M3K.
M3K, yeah, because Mochizuki Jr. Actually, it was the first time I saw Mochizuki Jr. as well, and I thought he was great too.
Yeah.
Eita and Super Crazy, Ben K and Minorita, and Muhammad. You already said that. This was just an excuse. I thought this was just a standard Japanese battle royale in tag form, and it was not very good.
What did you think though of Minorita?
I liked him. He liked his act, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was a really interesting contrast there with Ben K as well.
Yeah, because he's small, like by Dragongate standards. Like he's just him next to Yone is just like, who is this little kid basically? Yeah,
but I thought they had sort of strange chemistry and weird chemistry as a team that sort of worked.
Yeah,
but they were like the highlights of the match, like when Minorita got thrown out. And then Ben K caught him and everything like that. Like that was like the best spot of the match, right?
Yeah. No, it was a really good match otherwise. Like that was really like easily the best part.
Yeah. So next up we had KZ, Jackie Funky Kamei, and Yohei defeating Kamei and Yohei defeating Ryo Saito, Genki Horiguchi, and Nosawa Rongai in 10 minutes and 20 seconds with the horizontal cradle from KZ on Nosawa. We got the full Natural Vibes entrance with Strong Machine J breakdancing and everything like that. I actually kind of like this, although it sort of got just typical more comedy towards the end. But I like the Nosawa doing the Horiguchi spot with the ribbon,
the rubber
and
band,
basically backfiring, rubber band, and basically backfiring on Nosawa and hitting him in the face.
Yeah, no, Dragongate is really good at these kind of like comedy style matches as well. So I thought that worked really, really well. And hey, good on the only booker man of both promotions taking the fall here.
Yes, definitely. And then next up, we had, X, who turned out to be Satoshi Kojima, defeated Kanomama Ichikawa in 4 minutes and 22 seconds with the lariat. Satoshi Kojima, the greatest X in history.
We need to have a chat about Kojima's addiction to being X. It's getting out of control now.
It's getting out of control. But he was X, and I thought this was great, actually. Like, this was good comedy.
Yeah.
For a change, right? I mean, it's Ishikawa, probably arguably the best comedy worker, at least in Japanese wrestling history. You could put him up there. Just like some lucha fans that might have their candidates and choices for that sort of thing, right? I really liked the ending because it was like Ichikawa pretending to do a Stan Hansen. He pulls out an elbow pad and puts it on and does like the horns hand gesture and yells "youth" and everything like that, and then proceeds to fail at delivering a lariat, and then Kojima just levels him. And gets the win.
I love Ichikawa. He's tremendous.
Yeah.
But also, like, the moment it was announced, like, it's X against Ichikawa, it's like, oh, it's gonna be Kojima, isn't it? Like, literally, it's like, this is really kind of the only option here, is it?
Yep, for sure. And then next up, we had Atsushi Katoge, Dante Leon, and Punch Tamanaga defeating Natural Vibes, Jason Lee, Strong Machine J, and UT. I guess I was kind of expecting more from this.
I mean,
is that fair to say?
You have Dante Leon
Punch
and Punch
Dante
Tamanaga. Like,
great.
Punch isn't.
And I have to say, I hadn't seen Strong Machine J in a while, and he hasn't improved much since I saw him last.
I mean, he has improved somewhat. I think it didn't really come across in this match.
Actually, so let me look at my notes. I actually liked this match, and I thought it was structured well, because generally, Punch wasn't a factor. UT and Jason carried it for their team. Strong Machine J would come in and do the power spots, and then Katoge sort of carried it for his team. And then Dante flew a bit, right? So I actually thought it was fine.
But, yeah, I mean, like, for me, it was more like Dante Leon, and it's just not very good, and neither is Punch, so we really only have, like, Katoge on the one side. So there's really only so much, like, UT and, like, Jason and...
No, I thought Jason was the best in this match.
Yeah, Jason Lee is awesome. Like, Jason Lee rules.
Yeah.
Like, he is really, really good.
Yeah. And then next up, we go to Yamato defeating Seki Yoshioka in 13 minutes and 14 seconds with the Galaria. You know, over the years, Yamato has been hit or miss for me. I've seen him in incredible matches, and I've seen him just sort of be underwhelming. And, Paul, I was sort of underwhelmed by this.
Yeah, I think that can generally happen with Yamato matches. Like, it's actually one of the issues where, like, generally when he's champion, I tend to drift away from Dragongate.
Right.
It kind of is because of matches just as this one. I thought the beginning of the match was actually pretty good. I liked the beginning of the match. And then it just kind of just petered out. Like, I think they started off hot, and then it just kind of settled into, like, just a, I don't know, steady pace, basically. Yeah. And then it just wrestled that until the finish. Like, the one thing I was, like, thought of when I was watching this, though, was, like, why isn't Seki Yoshioka the junior champion?
Yeah, exactly.
Why is Dante Leon the junior champion? Why not Seki Yoshioka? Like, I don't know.
And then next up, we had Amakusa and Takuma Fujiwara defeating Shun Skywalker and Tadasuke when Amakusa used a crucifix hold on Tadasuke to continue to reignite their feud. This is the first time seeing Fujiwara, and he is the real deal.
Yes.
Absolutely. He's incredible for his level of experience.
Do you now get why everyone voted for him as Rookie of the Half Year, basically?
Yeah. And then, okay, so this was like Shun Skywalker and Tadasuke, can they coexist? And no, they really couldn't type thing. So I thought that sort of detracted from the match, right? And then, like, Fujiwara sort of just drifted into the background as the match went on because it's all about Tadasuke and Amakusa, and then Tadasuke, like, beefing with his partner.
I actually kind of like them beefing.
Fizzled out for me towards the match. As the match went on, I thought it sort of actually fizzled towards the end. But I mean, it was still good for like a good 2/3 of it, maybe. I don't know.
To be fair, I didn't really mind the whole bickering and everything because I just really like Shun Skywalker's character work because I think he's really good at that. So, and because it also was like consistent, I think, with his character, because he can somewhat coexist with his Z-Brats like stablemates, but he's really kind of like not a guy that would ever be able to like get along really kind of with everyone because he's just kind of like unhinged. Is I think the best
Certainly
way to
not
put
an outsider from another faction.
Yes, exactly. Who's also kind of like a self-absorbed heel, just as he is, which is what Tadasuke is. So to me, that kind of made like a lot of sense that they really couldn't coexist. And I also like that, like in the post-match, like Skywalker was just okay, fuck you, guy, fuck you, and just hit him with the SSW as well. So I actually really like this match, but I can see like where like maybe if you're not as familiar with like Shun Skywalker's kind of stuff, where that might be like not help the match. So, but I liked it, and you know, Shun once again proving that he is right. So Jason Lee should have listened to him because look, he got pinned by Dante Leon, and that wouldn't have happened if Shun would be the one to help him. So just proven right yet again.
And next up, Dragon Kid, Alejandro, Dragon Dia, Ninja Mac, and Extreme Tiger defeated BB Hulk, Hio, Diamante, Hajime Ohara, and Hiroki in 17 minutes and 14 seconds with a ninja bomb from Mac on Hio. This was definitely supposed to be like the Dragon Gate multi-man sprint match of the show, and I thought it mostly delivered. It wasn't like, you know, super high end, but it was a lot of fun, I thought. Second best match of the show for me.
Yeah, I mean,
Hulk looking rough though these days. Oh boy.
Yeah. Oh no. He's not been good for a while. Like his body is
I
basically
know that, but
completely
he's
destroyed.
looking really rough.
Yeah.
Because I watched some of him and was it him and Kai's Twin Gate run?
Yep.
Yeah, he's looked worse than he did even
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. No, his body is just breaking down rapidly. Like he's just very limited these days. And hey, they might get another Twin Gate run because they're actually gonna have a title challenge soon. So.
Well, I can't say that Kai should not be winning a title, so maybe they will win.
Yeah, I mean he can just carry all of their matches, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, no one reinventing of the wheel, but a lot of fun. And Mac was super over.
Yeah,
it's getting the crowd to ooh and ah by the end of it.
No, I think Ninja Mac. Like I feel like Ninja Mac actually would be a perfect fit for Dragongate as well. So.
Well, he would probably be poached if Shima was still in the company.
Oh, yeah, no. If Shima was still... It's actually kind of a miss for Shima that he didn't bring Ninja Mac into GLEAT.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But, I mean, look, I'm happy that he's at where he's at. So, even if he has weird short title reigns. But, yeah, I mean, this was really just kind of a high-flying match. Just a bunch of guys in masks flying around. Including Dragon Dia actually coming out illegally in his mask. You know, since he lost it. So actually he's not supposed to wear it, but okay.
And then in the main event, Keno and Kota Minoura defeated Kaito Kiyomiya and Yuki Yoshioka in 21 minutes and 53 seconds with the Enrin, which is the moonsault double knees from Keno onto Kiyomiya. I really liked this match. I thought the interactions between Kaito and Minoura were actually awesome. Those guys have great chemistry and actually would be awesome to see them in a singles match. Although I felt as the match went on, you know, you can make a legitimate critique of this, that the Dragon Gate guys took the back seat to Keno and Kaito.
Yeah, which made it feel even more like it was just a Noah show with some Dragon Gate, like with some Dragon Gate paint, like lazily like slapped on top of it. Right,
because this was just about heating up their feud, which I felt it did for the most part.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was a great match. I thought it was the best match on the show.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was like felt a little bit too gentlemanly at the times. But yeah, when they kind of actually got into kind of doing kind of the Kaito versus Keno stuff, I think it like improved a lot. But also, I mean, these four are all like great wrestlers. It's just that I have the same issue with Yuki Yoshioka that I have with Yamato, where like ever since he's become champion, I've watched less Dragon Gate than I have previously, I don't even really have a good explanation for it. It's just kind of, I don't know, kind of drifting away from it a bit because, I don't know, I just don't find him very interesting as champion. Like, he's a good wrestler, like, he's solid, but I've kind of started dubbing him, like, Dollar Store Yamato because he's just, like, he always looks really good, but there's just this, like, next level excitement that is always, like, missing from his title defenses, I feel like. Like, they just never really, like, super grab me.
So what do you think of Kota Minoura, though? I thought he looked great here.
Oh, I love Kota Minoura. Like, there was a bit of iffiness kind of in the whole build-up to Kobe World, but I think he's kind of, like, gotten a way better grip on his character now, and I think, like, Minoura, like, they have something there with him. So I think, like, he's obviously going to be, like, Dreamgate champion at some point. Like, I think that's very obvious. Just the way they whole, like, build, like, gold class around him and everything. So, yeah, like, I think there is, like, I think he still needs a bit more polish, to be honest, but I think, like, once he gets that, I think he can be, like, very easily, like, basically, you know, how Dragongate never has, like, or rarely has, like, a clear ace and has more, like, basically just a group of top guys, but I think he can be kind of the leader of that group of top guys, potentially, if he gets that, like, polish.
So there was some good stuff on the show at the beginning and towards the end, but I thought the middle sort of dragged.
Yeah. I thought it was just, like, it was an overall good show, but, yeah, it was also a weird show because, yeah, it was technically supposed to be a joint show, but it just felt so much more like a Noah show. And I mean, we're going to get it again. Like, they've announced that they're going to do it again at WrestleMania weekend.
Yep. So if Noah wrestlers refuse to go back to the States, if that doesn't happen first. Because did you hear what happened in Nakajima?
Oh, yeah, where he got, well, him and Marufuji got stuffed on play there.
Marufuji was, well, Ultimo was there too.
Ultimo was there too, yeah. So it was actually the joint show. Those are probably two of the people that are mainly organizing that joint show at WrestleMania weekend. Would be Marufuji and Ultimo. Yeah,
and Alberto Del Rio was there too. Although he didn't do any screwing of pay, as we know. The promoter faked a medical emergency and took off. And I guess Josh Alexander,
just the classical promoter move.
I heard faked a heart attack, but I don't know how accurate that was.
I mean, that definitely would not surprise me. That is just really kind of the shitty, like, in US indie promoter move of just be like, hey, can you pay us? And then the guy just clutches his chest and is like,
I'm surprised they didn't get any.
I'll pay you after I'm back from the hospital.
Guys didn't get any money in advance.
Yeah.
But from all accounts, it sounded like Josh Alexander took control of the situation. Because I wouldn't trust Alberto Del Rio.
No, I absolutely would not trust Alberto at all.
Well, I mean, it should have been sketch. Okay, so from what I can tell, first, you broke Alberto Del Rio. And that's a red flag. This happened in New York, right? I think.
Wasn't this on the West Coast? I don't.
No, because Marufuji was in New York, remember? Because he posted that picture with Bryan Danielson and Colt Cabana. The one with Bryan Danielson got more retweets, of course, but I've got to recognize former Noah superstar Colt Cabana. And so you book Alberto Del Rio. This is an indie that I believe just formed earlier this year. So you can sort of connect all the dots. How they managed to convince to get some of the people that they got, I don't know. They must have promised them huge payouts.
Yeah. Then obviously weren't able to deliver that.
Yeah, so not a great year for some Japanese wrestlers going over to the States to sketchy indies. Anyway.
Yeah. But did you see Nakajima is now over on the... Nakajima is definitely over on the West Coast
because he's King of Indies this weekend as well. Yeah.
Yep.
Is that going on the same time as Full Gear?
It might be. I'm not sure off the top of my head when it's actually happening.
Yeah, so I will try to see what I can see from that show, and maybe we'll talk about it if I watch some or something like that. But
I mean, it's also going to be... I'm going to be curious if they're going to, like, upload maybe, like, Nakajima stuff to, like, Wrestle Universe at some point.
Oh, that's right, because that stuff usually gets up there, right?
Yeah, because they did that with Marufuji, they did that with the Hayata title defense
Oh, it's November 19th.
at Wrestle Circus.
So that's Friday.
Oh, it's Friday, okay.
So not going against Full Gear.
So, yeah. No. So then I would actually expect it maybe to go up on Wrestle Universe before we record next.
That's a very good chance of that. So I guess the last thing with Noah is we can preview the Noah the Best 2022 at Yoyogi National Stadium number 2. First, I'll ask you, Paul, what is this draw? There's not much to this card. No Muto or anything, which probably could have saved it. This I'm going to say 800-900 tops.
I mean, I don't remember like Yoyogi what the last numbers there were, but who actually even ran it last? To be honest, did New Japan run it?
Yeah, but didn't Taichi Takamania happen here?
I think, yeah, maybe it might have been, yeah.
Let's see. They drew 1,000 at least.
Let me see if I can find that. Let me see if I can find that quickly.
Yeah. So we'll just start and go over it while Paul looks over. I guess it's listed as the main event for the GHC national title, as we talked about. Hyo to Dr. Wagner Jr. versus Yoshiki Inamura. I'm guessing Inamura's winning, obviously, and Wagner's just a transitional champion. I think that's fair to say.
I think that would make the most sense, like, because I mean you can keep it on Wagner for like longer, but like, what would really be the point of doing that?
I don't know. Maybe if you had some other luchadors for him to face and have some cool matches, but I think that would be it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I actually think this has a decent chance of doing well, being a decent match. I think Inamura can work well with Wagner.
Oh, yeah, it was in Yoyogi. You were correct with Takatachi
Yoyogi
Mania.
number 2.
That one drew 1,940 people.
They're not getting that.
No, they're not getting that.
They'll be lucky to get 1,000.
Kind of crowd, but
this is only marginally better
if they draw
than
1,000, I think
Korakuen Hall.
Yeah, you can call that a success.
This is only marginally better than a normal Korakuen Hall show.
Yeah, well, the only really because there's 2 title matches on this. Like otherwise, this is just a full kind of Korakuen show.
And the next up for the junior titles, again, Tsuji Kondo and Hajime Ohara versus Atsushi Kotoge and Seki Yoshioka.
Are they just going to lose it right back?
I think maybe. It'd be cool.
I mean, that just confirms that they just did the title change to do the title
to pop
change.
Korakuen. Now, if they lost again and Yoshioka won after this junior title, I would not complain.
Yeah, but I also just think that they're a better team than the other two. So,
so another match building to Budokan: Kaito Kiyomiya, Satoshi Kojima, and Masa Kitamiya. That's a cool team versus Keno, Katsuhiko Nakajima, and Manabu Soya. That actually could be really good.
Yes, that should be I think that should be the best match on the show. Like if that's just going to be like that great kind of Noah 6-man tag formula. And Soya's going to take the fall, probably, I guess. Unless Kiyomiya gets pinned.
I could see Kaito pinning Keno, because they will trade wins back and forth before Budokan. I could see that. But probably Soya. Next up, Dante Leon and Yohei versus Amakusa and Alejandro. I mean, if Dante Leon is kept to a minimum, it could be a perfectly acceptable match. Or a good match, even.
Yeah, and I would assume that we're getting a title challenge out of this from like Amakusa or Alejandro, I guess.
For sure. And then, next up, Takashi Sugera, Kazuyuki Fujita, and Timothy Thatcher versus Naomichi Marufuji, Masaki Mochizuki, and Masato Tanaka. Paul, is this a return of the M's Alliance?
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. Because they disbanded it, and then they kind of talked about bringing it back, but then they didn't do it. But now they're teaming together again, so I wouldn't mind that. I actually kind of like.
Yeah, no, I like the M's Alliance too. Although poor Yuko Miyamoto disappeared one day, never to return.
Yeah, that was weird because they also kind of like talked about it in Shoot, where they were like, "Yeah, we don't know where he is."
Well, he sort of came across as the guy that they could lose matches compared to the other guys. But then
Yeah.
Mochizuki just started doing a ton of jobs in Noah. So I'm thinking
bizarre.
Mochizuki drops the fall here.
Yeah, because I don't really see who else drops the fall unless they just actually
I mean, if
start.
Thatcher's
Thatcher's
not coming back for, he could lose, I suppose.
Yeah.
Next up, Daiki Inaba versus Sublime every time Jack Morris returns. This will be good.
The Inaba Morris team explodes because they didn't have a name.
Okay, Paul, am I not wrong? They said they were going to form a tag team.
Yeah, they did, and then they
I
never
think they
teamed
teamed
together
once
again.
or twice.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. Like maybe they're just gonna do it again afterwards. They're like shaking hands and then they're teaming again and then challenge for the tag titles.
I mean, it'll be good though.
Yeah, gives both of them something to do.
Sure.
Because Morris has just been picking up wins left and right, but just kind of floating around.
I mean, I think Morris should face Kaito after January.
He's been doing build motions for like 2 months now.
Yeah, maybe it'll be something in like, well, you got the Dome, but will there be a Kaito title defense at the Dome? I don't know.
Maybe.
Could be waiting.
And I love Jack Morris, but even if that's not supposed to be the drawing match, that might be a little bit much for his first JHC title challenge to be at the Dome. But he can definitely like put it in as like at like a medium-sized show or whatever. Like he should absolutely get one. That's the thing.
For sure. And what is being billed as the final Paris de Mal de Japon match?
We can only hope.
Yoshinari Ogawa, Yasutaku Yano, and Kai Fujimura versus Nosawa Rongai, Eita, and Super Crazy. I mean, you're putting Ogawa in there with two like young rookie-ish guys. Like, come on. I mean,
is this actually going to have a finish, though, or is this just going to be?
I don't think it's impossible that Yano pins Nosawa in this, actually, but
he's done it before.
Right, yeah. Paris could win, I would assume, and it's like send off.
They can, but like again.
So does that mean?
I mean, it could be Kai Fujimura pins Nosawa because he's the only one in the match that hasn't pinned him.
So, if this is the final Paris, but Eita going back to Dragongate and Super Crazy going back home.
I don't think Eita already is. I don't think Eita's going back to Dragongate.
But he hasn't left Dragongate.
No, but he's basically going to be like a part-time as well.
So are they going to give Eita a new faction or new partner in Noah?
I could see that. Like, I could definitely see him stick around. I mean, it might also be a thing where like maybe he is also going to go to Mexico a bit more.
Oh God, they could just
have, like, lifted.
This Nosawa retirement, just him going to Mexico for 6 months.
I mean, it might be. He's retiring in Japan. No one said he's retiring in Mexico.
Returns in some ridiculous gimmick.
I mean, like I said, he probably still has that Black Tiger 7 suit lying around somewhere, allegedly.
Yeah. And then, actually, one match that I'm actually quite looking forward to, Hideki Suzuki versus Shuhei Taniguchi. I think this would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Remember when they took Taniguchi out of Funky Express and we thought they were going to do something?
Well, I mean, this is more interesting than what he was doing in Funky Express, where they don't do it that much.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm actually looking forward to this one. That actually should be a fun, like, singles match. But I mean, it is also kind of a really far undercard Suzuki singles match, and those sometimes can go very quickly.
Oh yeah, it'll be like 8 minutes, 9 minutes. It's very possible.
Yeah. Or even shorter than that. Like, I remember actually him, to be fair, that was on a hard hit show where he just won in 30 seconds.
Of course. And then what I assume probably opens the show is Muhammad Yone and Akitoshi Saito versus Tadasuke and Hiroki. So, just it's
a Funky Express opening match.
So that is Noah the Best 2022. Paul, any final thoughts on?
It's not the best card, I would say that.
No, it certainly is not. But what are you going to do? They're obviously I don't think when this show was booked, they probably had not booked the Dome. So now they have to hold stuff off, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And everything like that. Paul, any final thoughts on Noah or anything else?
I actually recently rewatched my pick for the Secret Santa that will hopefully start soon.
Nice. Well, I guess I can't really go into details about that.
No, I'm not going to talk about what match
Yeah.
it's going to be, but it reaffirmed my stance that this is the match I'm picking for Secret Santa because I think it's an underrated classic, and that's all I'm going to say.
Well,
on it.
I will say I've also picked my match for Secret Santa, but I'm not going to give away any more clues about that. It is also, I think, a classic underrated match as well. That's funny. But that's what you want to do. You want to pick classic underrated matches, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that's generally been my approach as well.
Well, actually, one year you gave me Vader versus Otto Vons. And that was the first Otto Vons match I ever saw, and it was a lot of fun. Like,
yeah, it is also one of the best Otto Vons matches.
But it's legitimately like a 4-star match, but literally all they do is just pummel each other. Like, they don't do anything else.
Yeah,
There's no moves, but it's like still somehow dramatic because it's the round system in like CWA in Europe and everything. And it's, of course, this Vader at like the peak of his powers and everything like that, right? So it's somehow
and the crowd is super hot too. Like, it's a massive
two
stadium.
Rotund men just blasting each other works for like they went quite a few rounds. It was like 20-minute match, was it not, or something like that?
Yeah, it's a really long match, but it works with the, like, I think the round system really benefits Vance because he just can take a breather instead of having to do rest holds.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a very good point actually. Yeah, makes sense. I could think of a few wrestlers that could probably benefit from a round system then.
Fujita actually would be a much better wrestler.
Yes.
Fujita should just do that. Fujita, like, very clearly he just does whatever the fuck he wants anyway, so you might as well just go to people as like, look, in Pride we had rounds, so now we're going to have rounds in my matches, and Noah as well. Like, if you don't like that, I don't know, fight me.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so we'll be back in roughly 2 weeks because we'll be going into the final stretch of the Real World Tag League because it's we're going to be December in less than 2 weeks, and we'll talk about Noah the Best, and probably we'll have more stuff to talk about in terms of Budokan and everything like that. So so we will see you in. So for Gerard, for Paul Vosh, I'm Gerard DeTroyo, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.